Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're tracing an absolutely fascinating historical paradigm shift in the world of psychology. For decades, the main goal of psychologists was essentially just to figure out what was wrong with people and try to fix it. But a few decades ago, this radical new movement emerged. So today, we're going to explore the history and the founders of positive psychology. It's a science dedicated not to fixing what's broken, but to building what's strong.
Okay, let's dive right into this by asking the fundamental question that kind of sparked this whole revolution in how we understand human well-being. For the longest time, just the absence of illness was considered health. But, is merely surviving really the same thing as flourishing? Researchers started to ask, what actually makes life worth living? What are the actual ingredients for a truly good life?
So here's our historical roadmap for today's analysis. 1, we'll look at the traditional baseline. 2, the pioneers. 3, classifying strengths. 4, perma and flow. And finally, number 5, the second wave.
Section 1. The traditional baseline psychology before 1998.
For decades, traditional psychology acted almost like a dictionary of human misery. It was intensely focused on identifying and treating human ills, distress, and disease. And hey, while this made incredible strides in treating mental illness, it kind of completely ignored positive optimal functioning. Positive psychology, on the other hand, it completely flipped the script. The focus became identifying and enhancing the strengths and virtues that actually enable individuals and whole communities to thrive and flourish.
Section 2. The Pioneers, Sparking a Movement.
The rapid academic evolution of this movement is seriously fascinating. While humanistic psychologists like Abraham Maslow actually coined and used the term positive psychology way back in the 1950s, the true historical turning point happened in 1998. That is when Martin Seligman, during his presidency of the American Psychological Association, officially spearheaded and launched positive psychology as its own distinct, organized field. From there, it evolved rapidly, hitting major milestones like the 2004 publication of the Values and Action Classification, all the way to the present day's much more nuanced second wave.
Now, a really crucial point here is that this isn't some seminar on positive thinking. Unlike the self-help movements of the past, think of Norman Vincent Peale or that book, The Secret, Seligman made absolutely sure this new branch of psychology was strictly empirical. This is real science. It focuses on actively measuring the aspects of the human condition that lead to fulfillment, and it uses rigorous research methods, neuroscience, and hard data to back up its claims.
Section 3. Classifying strengths. The VI framework.
So how did these founders actually go about measuring the good in people? Well, Martin Seligman and his colleague Christopher Peterson realized that, as a relatively new field, positive psychology completely lacked a common vocabulary for positive traits. Traditional psychology had the DSM, the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders, which gave clinicians this shared language to talk about exactly what was wrong. So, as a positive counterpart, Seligman and Peterson created the VIA, or the Values and Action Classification. Instead of categorizing deficits and disorders, the VIA scientifically classifies positive human strengths, character, and virtues.
To build this classification, Peterson and Seligman, they didn't just guess. They went deep. They examined ancient cultures, philosophies, religions, and politics from all over the world just to see how human virtue has been construed across time. And from this massive historical analysis, they identified these 6 universal core virtues: courage, justice, humanity, temperance, transcendence, and wisdom. Basically, these are the foundational building blocks of human goodness that are universally recognized across the globe.
Let's zero in on one specific strength classified under these virtues: forgiveness. This was a major focus for positive psychology researchers. Exploring forgiveness, as Mahatma Gandhi famously noted, the weak can never forgive. Forgiveness is the attribute of the strong. And researchers have empirically shown that forgiveness is this incredibly powerful pro-social process capable of healing both individuals and entire nations. In fact, interventions teaching forgiveness have been linked to increased hope, lower anxiety, and even better physical health. It proves that letting go of resentment is a truly measurable path to well-being. And when looking at the strength of gratitude, which actually falls under the virtue of transcendence, researchers found this absolutely eye-popping statistic. Get this. People are actually 25% happier when they simply keep a gratitude journal. 25%. But the science goes even further than just boosting your mood. Grateful people also sleep more, they naturally decrease their dietary fat intake, and they achieve real reductions in blood pressure.
It is a perfect example of how an empirically tested positive psychology intervention yields real, measurable physical health benefits.
Section 4. PERMA and Flow, the flourishing frameworks.
As the field matured, Martin Seligman theorized that true well-being isn't just one singular thing. It's actually constructed from 5 independent but essential building blocks, famously known today as the PERMA model. These are positive emotion, engagement in life, positive relationships, a sense of meaning or mattering, and accomplishment. What's so brilliant about this is that positive psychology recognizes that a good life for you might look completely different for someone else. We all draw from these 5 pillars to varying degrees to build our own unique version of a flourishing life.
Within the engagement pillar of that model, another pioneering co-founder, Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi, defined a concept called flow. You've probably heard of it. Flow is that highly rewarding state of absolute total immersion. It happens when your skills are perfectly matched to a challenging task. Whether you're painting, coding, playing sports, or maybe just fixing up an old bike. In a state of flow, your concentration is so complete that self-awareness completely vanishes. Time kind of distorts, and the activity itself becomes its own intrinsic reward. Section 5. The second wave, Positive Psychology 2.0.
Now, the first wave of positive psychology was undeniably groundbreaking, but honestly, it had a bit of a blind spot. It focused almost exclusively on the bright side. So, spearheaded by researchers like Paul T.P. Wong, Positive Psychology 2.0, or the second wave, emerged to correct this. It insists on a dialectical framework. Basically, this means that genuine well-being actually requires navigating, integrating, and overcoming the darker dimensions of human life, like suffering, stress, and adversity. It's not about just trying to avoid them. It recognizes that true resilience and real flourishing often grow directly out of our deepest struggles.
So, the absolutely crucial takeaway from this historical journey is that well-being isn't about just ignoring the bad. It's about actively building the good. We're going to leave you with this final thought from the latest evolution of the science. If true well-being requires navigating suffering, how will you use your own empirically proven strengths to face your next great challenge and flourish even in the face of life's inevitable adversities?